All right, good evening. My name is Monet Edwards. I am the Public Information Officer at the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. We are here tonight to present the CDBG-DR Action Plan Substantial Amendment. I am here with Ms. Ann Hanley, who is standing behind of me. She is the Director of Programs. She will be giving a brief presentation this evening in St. John. We are here tonight so that you can learn about the reallocation plans for the CDBG-DR funds, so that you can understand how and why the reallocation changes in beneficiaries are made, and also so that you can ask questions and ask questions, and we can provide insight to anything you may have inquiries about. Without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce Ms. Ann Hanley. Again, she is Director of Programs at the CDBG-DR for VIHFA, so that she can continue with the presentation. Thank you so much, Ms. Hanley.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Monet. I want to also introduce Ms. Alana Lavenier. Ms. Lavenier works with us as well, and she's the Director of Programs and Policy. As Monet said, we are here to discuss the reallocation of funding, as well as to introduce a new beneficiary to the action plan for the disaster recovery program. We, as Monet said, also, we are here to learn what the allocations are, to understand how and why these reallocations are necessary, and for the public to have an opportunity to ask questions about the information that we're presenting this evening, and to provide input through the public comment period, or even to ask us questions at the end of this presentation. We will be receiving formal comments, and they will be accepted at media@vihfa.gov. I will repeat that again. It's media@vihfa.gov. And please label your comments to the disaster recovery fourth substantial amendment as DR Action Plan Amendment, and in parentheses, number 4. This is the fourth amendment to the disaster recovery action plan. Providing some background, the Department of Housing and Urban Development allocated to the Virgin Islands over $1 billion in community disaster recovery funds. And these are to support the recovery activities as a result of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. VIHFA, which is the Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority, administer these funds within the territory. The action plan can be found on our website, and you can go to our disaster recovery page. It is CDBG-DR Action Plan, Virgin Islands Housing Finance Authority. The action plan, or the allocation of the over $1 billion in resources provided by HUD, is divided into 5 categories, or what we call 5 programs. Housing, which is the most important program for HUD. And the housing funds addresses unmet needs related to damages from the storm, loss of critical structures due to damage. Oh, sorry, guys. The housing funds provides assistance to homeowners and tenants, rentals, properties to achieve permanent sustainable housing solution. The program supports rehabilitation and or reconstruction of homeowners and renters' dwellings, while making funding available to make the projects to subsidize housing. The public service and special needs housing are activities undertaken to provide services to our at-risk populations, providing counseling and or other related services with the utilization of these funds. Funds for rehabilitation or reconstruction of publicly owned facilities or buildings owned by nonprofits or agencies that serve the public or the vulnerable population are included as well in the public service and special needs housing bucket We also have infrastructure. Our infrastructure was damaged as a result of the storm, i.e. our wastewater lines, our WAPA, our solid waste infrastructure all received damages as a result of the storm. The infrastructure program supports the handling, hardening of these public infrastructure to ensure that the infrastructure is made more resilient and our critical services will not be interrupted during future storms. For the economic revitalization, which is the fourth category, that addresses unmet needs in the local workforce, showcases the territory to the world, stabilize and support our infrastructure with improvements to our ports that will generate long-standing economic growth for the territory. And the last category is our planning and administrative activities. So to repeat, our 5 categories or 4 programs and a category is housing, public service, special needs housing, infrastructure, economic revitalization, and planning and grant administration. Why is the reallocation necessary? Why are we having public hearings? Why are we amending the action plan? This happens because if 3% or more of the disaster recovery projects or reallocation occurs, or if there is a change in designated beneficiaries. With the fourth substantial amendment, we have 3 activities or 3 factors that are affecting or causing the fourth substantial amendment. Subject to HUD approval, the Office of Disaster Recovery is named as a sub-recipient, which will be managing the CDBG-DR programs or projects. ODR will oversee the projects for execution and completion. VI Housing Finance Authority, however, shall retain grant oversight. And we are addressing the unmet needs for the grant and the ability to expend the remaining funds within the grant cycle, which ends September of 2026 now, or if an extension is granted, whatever that date will be. I don't have the benefit of demonstrating what the proposed budget is, but what I can do, I will talk about the allocation in terms of percentile. As discussed, housing is the most important project or activity under HUD. So we have 46% of the grant funds that is earmarked for housing. For public service and special needs housing, 1.25% of the grant fund is earmarked for that particular activity. For infrastructure, which is coupled with match that I will talk about later, that accounts for 40% of the grant funds, and economic revitalization, 5.3%. That the 4 programs make up 93.3% of the grant budget, and planning, which is a little less than 2% at 1.67, and administration, which accounts for 5% of the grant funds, which accounts for 100% of the grant budget. We have a number of projects that the programs have been working on. Some of these projects are they have been implemented, they're near completion. And I wanted to talk about a couple of those programs. The Envision program, that particular construction and reconstruction of homes that is ongoing. We have the Dunu project. We have the Walter I.M. Hodge project. That particular project is ongoing. It's a rehabilitation project on St. Croix. We have the Ross Tannenberg Emergency Housing, as well as for public service. We have a couple of projects that are just in the process of receiving project agreements and subrecipient agreements. Liberty Place, meeting the needs of the people, Catholic Charities, as well as WAPA. WAPA, the For WAPA, we have the generation project. We are about to start up that particular set of generators, new generators that has been purchased utilizing the disaster recovery funds. And as well as we have 6 convenience centers and 1 transfer station on St. John, 3 convenience centers on St. Croix, 3 on St. Thomas. Skills for Today program, that is an active program. We have had a number of participants. We have, in the last couple of months, extended the contract for that particular program, and activities will be ongoing until 2024. The Neighborhood Revitalization Program, which was recently launched, we had a lot of interest for that particular program. As a matter of fact, we received 77 applications for funding for that particular program. I will talk about that a little later. Let's discuss housing. Housing, as I said, is a priority for HUD. We made some allocation changes to that particular activity. We increased the allocation an additional 15.35%. This is done to assist us in finalizing the repairs to damaged homes. Because of the increased cost of construction, we found it necessary to increase the allocation amount in that particular activity. For eligible applicants, we also noted that for the residents that were a part of the Envision program, there was some difficulty associated with obtaining short-term optional housing as well as storage. So there is additional funds within the budget that allows for us to be able to provide optional temporary relocation for individuals within that program, as well as to provide storage for those individuals. However, I must note that that is subject to eligibility. Currently, we have 363 units of new or rehabilitated rental housing that are under development, with 40 restricted to tenants at 80 or less than area medium income. Yes, we did make some adjustments to housing. For example, we needed to take a hard look at the projects that were listed as a part of the 3rd substantial amendment. And we needed to make a determination as to whether or not that all of the listed projects will be able to be completed within the grant period, which ends September of 2026. In so doing, we removed 2 new housing infrastructure construction projects, as well as 1 public and affordable housing development rehabilitation project. That project was removed because they were unable to receive a waiver from FEMA, and therefore we removed the project because it would not be able to be funded with DR funding. However, one of the things that we did do was to retain the funds associated with those projects within the housing allocation. Those funding were not moved from out of housing, they remained. We became creative and created an allocation of about $46 million to fund public and affordable housing development projects that we consider to be shovel ready. These are projects that have all of the requirements necessary for us to be able to push the projects or those projects forward. So if there are any housing development project, which is public and affordable for low to moderate income individuals that are out there that is shovel ready and ready to go, we welcome you to fill out an application and go through the eligibility process with our team members. We also increased the funding for the Queen Louise Home project. That is a project that will be done by the Housing Authority, and it will be for the construction of townhomes in St. Thomas. We have 2-phase construction of a single-family unit development of 20 homes in the Estate Fortuna area. That is a 2-phase project. Phase 1 is for 12 homes. That project has infrastructure already in place, and phase 2 is for the development of 8 additional homes that is without infrastructure. This is virgin property, virgin land that we will be developing the additional 8 single-family homes. The low to moderate income benefit. With the changes in allocation to the grant, the moving of projects, and the beneficiaries adjustment and change, we wanted to ensure and make sure that 70% of the grant benefits to low to moderate income individuals. That is closely monitored by the Housing Finance Authority, and we believe that we will exceed the 70% benefit to low to moderate income individuals. However, we saw it necessary to extend the benefits to individuals that are between 81 to 120 of the area median income. There is the 2 programs that have extended those benefits to are the New Housing Infrastructure Construction Program, that is option 2, which is the Own a Lot, Build a Home program, and the Envision Homeowner Repair and Reconstruction Program. Phase 1 of that particular program is dealing with individuals that are below 80% or at 80%. Phase 2 would be individuals that are 81 to 120 and subject to the availability of fund. Our priority is to deal with the individuals that are low to moderate income individuals. The homes that are being built by the authority through the utilization of the DR funding, those are for low to moderate income individuals as well under option 1 of new housing infrastructure construction. Because I don't have the benefit of the slide, I would just briefly talk about the fact that there are categories in which we look at to determine whether or not an individual meets the requirement for low to moderate and above the 80% percentile. That table is included in the presentation package. This has been provided to you. And for our online participants, the presentation package is online. So you have an opportunity to look at the slide that is entitled FY 2023 Income Limits. So for 30 to 80 percentile, we have a low for a single person, that's a low of 22, and at 80 percentile, that's 58. For multi-family household, the 30 percentile will be 41,550, and at 80%, it will be 110,750. For those individuals that are above the 80 percentile, we will go as high for a single family household, 88,150 and for a multi-family household, 166,200. As stated, we will continue to monitor and track the percentile, the 70% LMI benefits. And we do believe that we will exceed the 70% benefits to LMI applicants or the public, I'm sorry. Public service and special needs housing. Special needs housing focuses on repairs or replacement of damaged facilities that provide service to our at-risk populations, children, elderly homes, homeless persons, persons with disabilities, and victims of domestic violence. We have allocated in the 4th Amendment $11 million for special needs housing and $2.4 million for public services. This is to fund projects for at-risk populations that are recovery from the hurricanes Irma and Maria, and provide supplemental support to territorial agencies that would directly accelerate the speed of recovery. We see our not-for-profits as our partners in providing assistance to our at-risk population. For this particular program, we issued a notice of funding availability last year. And as a result of the notice of funding availability, or the NOFA, we were able to provide notification and eligibility to 6 public facility and 3 public service entities. Our infrastructure projects for the Waste Management Authority, the 6 convenience center and the 1 transfer station that was mentioned earlier, 3 convenience centers, St. Croix, 3 convenience centers, St. Thomas, and the transfer station would be done on St. John, as well as the Anguilla landfill phase closure project. The Anguilla landfill phase closure and expansion project that we hope will be completed by September of 2026. We are working diligently with the Waste Management Authority to ensure that this project is completed. For the Water and Power Authority, we have the slope stabilization projects for the water distribution tanks in the Duno area and the Randolph-Harley new generation. The new generators were installed, and I do believe today was supposed to be the turning on of those particular generators. Our team was on site to see that the generators were powered on and operational. That project is slated to be completed prior to the close of this calendar year. The Office of Lieutenant Governor, the Street Addressing Initiative project that is overseen by the Lieutenant Governor's office. We did have some difficulty during the storm, ensuring that our emergency personnel was able to find our residents. With this particular project, we'll be able to do a street mapping and GPSing, and we will be able to ourselves as well, our emergency personnel, we will be able to get to our service calls timely and accurately. And the non-federal cost share, this particular program is designated to assist states, agencies, public entities, local not-for-profit organization, and other eligible applicants by leveraging the DR funds with FEMA public assistance provided to the Virgin Islands to maximize recovery. The DR funds are limited to covering the non-federal cost share, which is the 10%. And that is related to the project worksheets that are eligible. During the 3rd substantial amendment, we removed funds from the match program and we placed that into housing. With this particular amendment, $30 million was able to be put back into this program. Please note that the $30 million did not come from housing. It was moved back out of an infrastructure project and placed back into the match program. The Economic Revitalization Program, funding for the economic program increased because we removed 2 projects from 2 other categories. The port project that was formerly moved to infrastructure is now moved back into the Economic Revitalization Program, as well as the Building Professional Workforce Project that was formerly under the Public Service category is now moved to economic revitalization. We believe that these 2 particular projects would able to obtain a national objective and determine and meet eligibility under the economic revitalization program. The neighborhood revitalization program funding, the funding remains the same. We have not removed any funding from that program. As previously mentioned, we did issue a NOFA and the applications were due in May. And this program provided funding for 2 categories: grants to technical assistance to small businesses and micro enterprise, as well as to improve building facade, landscaping, amenities, and commercial areas. The planning and administration funds remains the same. There are no changes in the allocation associated with these 2 activities. The administrative allocation remains a maximum at 5%. We were able to put $2.7 million from the Street Addressing Initiative as a part of the planning activity, because there's a component of that particular project that has a planning element. Monet, are you going to talk about the engagement schedule, or you want me to go ahead? Okay. All right, our substantial amendment was posted to our website on May 19th. And our public comment period opened on May 22nd. Our public comment period ends on June 21st. And today is our second public hearing. And we are striving to have all our comments received and published, and the fourth substantial amendment submitted to HUD on June 26th. I think I may. Okay. Again, the public comments can be sent to media@vihfa.gov, and please label your comments CDBG-DR Action Plan Amendment number 4. The action plan can be found on our website, the disaster recovery section. The action plan is tracked so that the public is able to see all of the adjustments and the changes that were made as a result of the changes. I think I said that twice.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Ms. Hanley, for your comprehensive presentation. At this time, we will hear comments from the audience. We do ask that if you have comments or questions that you speak into the mic, because this is live streamed. So does anybody from the audience have any questions? Any comments?
No.
Nothing at all? All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Hadley, for your
welcome.
presentation. And again, the public comment period ends on June 21st, and we are accepting comments via email. If you can send an email to media@vihfa.gov. And again, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.